imagine, right? So Bitcoin, for you guys who haven't been paying attention, is at new all-time highs as we're speaking. Imagine if these people had somebody who was just, casually posting in the Taylor's code on their Snap stories, on their social medias, all these charts saying that Bitcoin's about to go on its next leg higher, so that they could have bought assets before it made its next leg higher this morning. Imagine if they knew somebody who was doing that. Do you know anybody who's doing that recently?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you were posting about it all weekend. I just replied to one of your posts in the Taylor's code this morning from 2 or 3 days ago, showing exactly what Bitcoin was going to do now that it's doing it, and said this aged well.
Yeah, it did. So, and we're gonna go into a couple of those charts, but that's what I was saying all this past week. Those you guys are on, follow me on social media. I've been saying that Bitcoin's about to take its next leg higher, right? Q4 traditionally is the best time to be holding Bitcoin. It's Bitcoin season. That's exactly what's been happening. Then we had paused. We had been consolidating, basically retesting multiple different price levels, knocked out a bunch of leverage junkies, crashed them out. Now it looks like Bitcoin was starting to get ready to take its next leg higher. And that's exactly what's happening. So we should see Bitcoin blast off to it's probably going to bull shop up to about 110,000. Then we're going to see it just blast off to 115, 120, and then eventually about 140, 150 going into Q1. And then we'll see where we're at that point. But yeah, it's taking its next leg higher. So I'm going to pull up the chart if you want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, while you're getting that pulled up, two just thoughts that I had this morning. The first thing is I wanted to talk about just kind of how the beta trains work for everything that we're invested in. If you disagree with any of these, then definitely let me know. But I think we're kind of on the same page as far as what historically has been correlating with what. So for you guys that have been following us for a while, we've talked a lot about the Bitcoin dominance chart
Yeah.
since, the beginning of the year, saying that as Bitcoin continues to pump higher, at first, initially, it's going to suck up a lot of the dominance in the market. And what the Bitcoin dominance shows, or what that Bitcoin dominance chart indicates, is how much of the entire crypto space is being dominated by Bitcoin itself. So I was looking at the chart this morning. Towards the beginning of this initial Bitcoin move, Bitcoin dominance was getting up to about 61%, 62% was where it topped out. And if you guys look at the chart this week, yeah, it's starting to fall pretty quickly. It's already down to 57.5%, which I think, yeah, just a couple of days ago, it actually slipped down to almost 54%. So what this is indicating to me is that Ethereum and meme coins are starting to gain more space in the market, which is good for us. It also shows me that, traditionally Ethereum is a beta to Bitcoin. So Ethereum, it needs Bitcoin to continue to perform really well to actually be able to perform well itself.
Right.
But the more that Bitcoin dominance starts to slip, the more traction and control of the market Ethereum and meme coins and altcoins are getting, which means that Ethereum doesn't really depend and lean on Bitcoin quite as much as it did before to be able to perform well. So in my opinion, the way that the betas have worked is Ethereum is traditionally a beta to Bitcoin. So when Bitcoin's performing well, usually you guys are going to see Ethereum perform well. Lately, it's been performing obviously a little bit less well than Bitcoin, but that's about to change based off this chart.
Right.
Pepe is a beta to Ethereum. So whenever Ethereum's performing well, you'll see Pepe pretty much correlating almost directly with Ethereum, but outperforming it. Brett, from what I've seen, is a beta to Ethereum directly. It doesn't really seem to correlate too much with Pepe. Andy, from what I've seen, is a beta to Pepe. So whenever Pepe's performing well, Andy tends to perform well too. And then Landwolf has really been a beta to Andy.
Right.
So that's kind of the chain of command that I've seen. For any of you guys that are following all these charts that are invested in the Boys Club, which I'm assuming if you're watching the stream, you probably are.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the chain of command. ETH bases off of Bitcoin. Pepe bases off of ETH. Brett bases off of ETH. Andy bases off of Pepe. And then Landwolf bases off of Andy.
Right.
Obviously, there'll be some variations on the daily charts or on the weekly charts. But if you guys zoom out a little bit and you look at the course of this cycle so far, that's been kind of the case.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think personally, we're probably going to see Bitcoin obviously continue to go up. I think it's probably going to go over 200,000 this cycle,
Yeah.
from everything I've been hearing about. But I don't think that that means Bitcoin dominance is going to continue to go up. I think we'll probably see Bitcoin dominance slip to like 53%, 54% before the end of the year.
Right. So, and I'm just replying to a couple of guys in the chat. Um, but yeah, so what you're saying is correct with the betas, because Brett certainly doesn't seem to trade correlated to Pepe at all. It is just skips over Pepe and is direct to Ethereum. And not only is Brett Ethereum beta, but Brett, the way that the chart plays out, if you know, line up the timelines whenever Ethereum pumps and then whenever Brett pumps, Brett is lagged by about a couple of weeks or up to a month from whenever Ethereum breaks out. That's usually whenever Brett catches its rotation. Pepe is a lot more tightly attached time-wise to Ethereum than Brett is. So whenever Ethereum's ripping face, Pepe just seems to go right away with it just a couple of days afterwards. And then Andy being correlated to Pepe and Wolf being correlated to Pepe, them doing the same thing. So they'll pump a lot faster than Brett, seemingly, but that doesn't mean Brett's not going to pump. The rotation to Pepe to Brett is just a different rotation that people are taking. So it doesn't mean sell your Brett and go try to chase Andy and Wolf pumping. No. That money is going to come to Brett eventually. It just takes a little bit longer. It's a laggard.
Yeah, and I think something that's important to pay attention to for Brett also. I don't know if you've been noticing it or if anyone watching has been noticing it too, but base meme coins have been getting a lot more attention. So previously, whenever the market was down, a lot of people like were just gambling in the Sol Casino. A lot of people were gambling in Solana memes because, for anyone that doesn't know, the gas fees on Solana are extremely cheap. So whenever people can buy and sell with really no negative impact on their profits, it makes the coins extremely volatile. You know, that's why you guys will see Solana coins will pump up from just being launched to hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars in market cap in just a couple days. And then just as quickly as they pumped up, they'll fully retrace, 80%, 90%, and then you won't really ever hear about them again.
Right.
Base coins or base memes have been starting to do the exact same thing for a similar reason, because the base fees are pretty much nothing. I think it's 1 penny per transaction, regardless of size. So on the base chain, you guys could be buying and selling, $1 million of a coin, and your gas fee is still going to be 1 penny. So I think the fact that base memes are gaining a lot more traction and a lot more attention, like I know Ski Mask Dog is one of them that just recently exploded. It shows that, number one, a lot more people have wallets that are able to access the base chain, which is fantastic for Brett. It's bullish for the base network in general. But number two, if you guys paid attention to whenever back in like the middle of November, end of December, when Ethereum was really starting to rip originally, it jumped up in the matter of a week and a half from like 2,500 all the way up to like 3,800. And all the altcoins were ripping with it that were on the Ethereum network. The gas fees instantly jumped up to like $100 per transaction.
Yes.
So for anyone that has a smaller size entry that wants to just buy, I'm sure some people that are watching the stream have noticed this. If you're wanting to buy like $100 of Andy or, $200 of Pepe or whatever, you're losing half of your position that you're trying to enter with just to the gas fee and the exchange fee.
Correct.
So that is super, super bullish for Brett. And that's why we keep preaching that Brett is definitely going to be a later in the cycle play. And I think that over these next few weeks, whenever Ethereum really starts to push for like 5, 6, 7, 8,000, and all these ETH memes are ripping with it, and the gas fees start to get astronomical, you're going to start to see a lot of these people that are buying base memes right now and that are on the base network start to pivot into Brett heavily. So for anyone in here that's holding Brett, hold on to it.
It's such a great point because, yes, people don't understand gas fees. Because I just had somebody, we might have mentioned this last week, but I just had somebody reach out to me saying, and I was telling you this, he was trying to buy, I believe, Andy. And with how much he was trying to buy of Andy, by the time he actually made the transaction, had gone through, he got like $7 or $8 worth of Andy. He's like, where the fuck did all my money go? literally to Coinbase fees and gas fees on Ethereum. So the way that the gas fees work, like Logan was just talking about, is as the networks become more and more congested, there's more and more transactions going through every single minute. It becomes more expensive to make a transaction because that's how the networks determine which transaction they're going to prioritize first. So because the way that these blockchains work, Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc., they have miners, which is essentially people who run computers that their only job is to run the computations to run these transactions, to validate them, and then put them on the blockchain. And that's how the transactions go through. So in order to pay people who are running this computer, this CPU, this computer power to run these transactions, they get paid in gas fees. So what you're getting charged in gas fees is what goes to the miners whenever it gets paid out to them, whenever they solve a block. Block. Anyways, so more transactions going through, more expensive it becomes to run a transaction. So and that's why you want to front run the move to Base, because Base is essentially free. So as Ethereum gas network fees goes up, Base is still free. So people are going to all rotate their profits into the Base network for whenever they want to start selling so they can save a lot of money. Because the gas fees, just so you guys know, they will get very expensive. It'll become hundreds of dollars to make transactions happen. So you better fucking load up your bags and keep some Ethereum on the side. So as Ethereum appreciates, your ETH obviously appreciates with it, and you still have money for gas fees for whenever you guys go to sell. Okay.